Hey,
Great couch family.
great couches. Well, it's me, and some people have allergies going on. Hey, I was just kidding with that. But anyway, it's me, and we're all preparing for Mother's Day, right? And so Otito and I have been talking, and we're like, okay, what are the things or some of the influences that we had from our parents, our mothers specifically, that kind of helped us in our marriage? And what are some that were maybe not so helpful? Yeah, I went there. But before that, I'm Stanley, and this is
Otito.
And you're on the Great Couch. And on the Great Couch, we believe that marriage and life really is not black or white. It's not binary, but there are many shades of gray, a lot of nuances. And here we want to explore those gray areas and try and improve ourselves and our marriages in the process. Welcome. So back to the storytelling, and I'll go first. And Mom, if you are listening to this, thank you for all that you did to bring me up. One of the things that I learned from my mom, was generosity and really truthfulness, being honest. It was a big family value for us. I can remember growing up, we had so many uncles, aunties, cousins, in-laws, outlaws, everybody just living in the house. And it was interesting, it was fun. We had a lot of different conversations, culture. We learned a lot of things from different people. And then the tide started to turn, and tide, I mean economic tide started to turn. And so these uncles and aunties didn't get the memo. And so things started getting challenging in the household, and they still had all these people there. Then resentment started to build up within me. I mean, I didn't call it that at the time, but yeah, resentment. And perhaps that's an explanation for why right now, as an adult, I'm a little stingy with sharing Otito's foods. Yeah, quite stingy. She'll cook a whole bunch of stuff, is spread, and I mean, she wants to share with other people. I'm like, no, let's keep back a little bit, And then also with housework, I have to be honest, because having all these other people, being from a Nigerian culture, their way of giving back was to help with all the chores. So even when we had an economic downturn and we lost all the household, they were there helping out with household. I never really had to do much. So perhaps those two things were where you had issues with me coming in with cleanliness and stuff. I'm not snitching on myself.
I plead the fifth. For now. For now.
But what about you? What did your mom teach you?
Okay. So what I learned from my mom of blessed memory was hospitality. Hospitality was a big one. So I guess, what you call generosity, I'm calling hospitality, which is the idea that, as long as the door can close behind us, we're all going to be, in this tiny house together, right? So again, just like you, we had so many people passing through and then sharing that last meal with them, but for me, I guess what I took away from that was that even if you didn't have, a lot of money, you could still cook food that would satisfy people. Like you would still be able to cook. So food was, for us, right? It's like you can treat people badly, but never with food. That was almost like just something that never just happened in our house. So obviously now it's like that's my love language for other people, and I'm very quick to just, prepare things. And sometimes people will say, oh, what about your time and all that? And I feel like, to me, that's the measure of love, right? To say that I'm putting my time and putting this food together and cooking and blessing, people, right? It's not like I cannot maybe pay caterer to do it, but I enjoy doing it. I think it came from just, my household in that sense. The other part of it, right, because it's plus and minus, the other part of it, of something that, I observed, I wouldn't say learned, because that's another thing. The generosity and hospitality was learned. Like you had to cook for people, you had to do things, you had to take food to people's houses. Like, so that one was almost like mandatory. But this other one was kind of more of observation. You're looking and just saying, and it was in terms of blessed memory. So I'm not trying to, like ruin her memory, but just stating what was, right, in terms of criticism, right, in that sense. But I always look at it to say it was based on the environment we grew up in, right? That maybe in that time they felt like criticism was a way to make you feel better, to make you get better, right, at things. And so no one was exempt, is what I'm trying to say. No one, from my dad to every single one of us children. And so that's something that I said, no, I don't want to be that person, right? I don't want to have that characteristic, right, in my own marriage. So I have to watch what I say, because it's almost like that you are carrying the genes, for it. And so you know how when you are kind of actively working on something, because you know that it's like your Achilles heel, right? Achilles heel, just based on environment, not necessarily that that's how you were born, but it's just you've grown up in this environment, so it becomes very easy to knock down things. So I had to learn, and I'm still learning how to give good feedback, right? Good, very constructive, what you might call feedback, right? But just if I have to say something, like even my tone, the way I'll present it, like it's not like the work is bad, but it's like seeing the good in things first before I even talk about any bad thing. And so what that has kind of done, right? Because I know all the work that is going on in my mind, right? The mental work and all that. So sometimes when somebody says to me, your tone or the way you said something, and I'm thinking, I wish you knew
where I'm coming from.
I wish you had an idea. Like, I always say to him, I say, if someone says A and you're upset with A, do you realize that the person could have said B, C, D, E, E, F, and they chose not to say it? So you also have to honor, right, the work that they are doing to present themselves in a certain way, because you don't have any idea of their history, right? Their maternal.
Well, thanks for that, Mom, because Lord knows I'm a recipient of all this good hospitality.
First cooking.
But that brings something to mind, and it's a question that we've received. I've received also from couples, thinking that. So you have two people that live under the same mother in the same household. One person turns up to be a certain type of character, have a philosophy for life, and then the other person lived in the same place, heard the same things, they turn out to be something else, and this normally happens in, the question I got was from a couple with going through a challenge at that time, and like, didn't these two people come from the same household, under the same mother?
That's the same roof.
That same roof,
Yeah. What
would you say to that?
Well, I guess the thing is that, as adults, we get to choose, I would say, our orientation. And like I was telling you, remember I made the distinction of, say, with what I learned from my mother. One of them was thoughts, right, in that sense. But the other one was, it was like absorbed, right? And so I think that absorbing part is sometimes the part we don't pay attention to, because we can absorb different things. And I think we've said it before on here that your birth order sometimes can play a role, because if you are the first child, you experience your parents differently. If you are the fourth child, you experience your parents differently. So that alone is already like you're having different parents, even though it's the same person, right? But I really think that as adults, we get to choose, our own way in life. Because I have a sibling who I would say, if you were to say something, say they were spoiled, right? Because they were. They got they were taken care of as per, only son kind of idea. But now that they are grown up, like the kind of work that they do at home and the way they take care of their family is like, huh? Is this the person I know? So I know that's a conscious choice, right? It's a conscious choice of I want to show up this way as a dad, I want to show up this way as a husband. And I think that's the idea I'm trying to say, that whole thing of saying this is how I am, I don't believe in it. I've told you that many times, and that is just not something an adult should be saying to another person, right? If someone is experiencing you a certain way and you've been told, right, many times, maybe by different people, then you want to sit back and say, oh wow, what can I do to change people's experiencing of me, right, in that sense. And that's only because you're getting that feedback. Sometimes you don't have to wait for that feedback. You can choose and say, yes, I was raised this way, but as an adult, I want to walk this way. I want to go this way. I want to raise my children this way, right? So I guess that kind of takes us to
the next thought, as in thinking generationally.
Yes.
What did I learn that I want to transfer to my kids, both consciously and subconsciously? And I think it has to be that spirit of generosity and also truthfulness, and I have to be honest here in the culture. sometimes.
Are you not honest outside the couch? Hello.
Sometimes I might give it one of those shades of gray. I might not be too clear with where I'm going.
Vague, ambiguity, confusion.
But you know, with the kids, sometimes when I hear child one telling a fib or not sharing food, I'm wondering, this guy learned anything from me? You know, what type of child am I raising? You know, and I'm thinking, how does that honor, you know, mom and stuff like that? And so I react louder than the crime is only because I'm panicking. I'm responding in fear. You know, and that's just me being honest. You know, I'm working on it.
Yeah, so what am I teaching them? Chores. We cannot get away from that. Like, I feel like that's part of being a decent human being, right? The little contribution you make to the house, right? You kind of, you know, sweep, right? I have a Nigerian broom. If anybody wants to see what that looks like, I can show you, right? They have learned to use it. They sweep. They sweep. They sweep. And when I say they sweep. Now, somebody might say, don't you have a vacuum? Why can't they use a vacuum? When they get to the age of using a vacuum, they might. But for now, it's like it's easier to just, you know, maybe pick up the broom and kind of sweep where you ate. That's the thing. Like, it's not like it's me.
Looking for something else.
You know, it's you taking responsibility for your own, you know, your own mess, as it were, in that sense. So that's something that I'm teaching them. I know it came from my mother. Like, we worked so much, oh Lord, you know. So sometimes it's kind of like, you know, people say, well, you know, you don't want them to continue, maybe it was traumatic growing up. I don't think so, because I think that it's that little thing that makes my house right now be clean, right? That it's not like I'm choosing to, it's that what's the word I'm looking for now, the unconscious learning of just having a clean house. It may not be the biggest, but it should be clean, right? It may not have the nicest clothes, but it should be clean. So, you know, some of those things, just you learn them just by experience, by virtue of growing up in the house. So that's something that I want them to learn. I sometimes tell them, I'm like, when you grow up and you see like food on the floor, you remember my voice. That's all, you know. Remember my voice saying, sweep it, pick it up and sweep it, right?
At least your voice is a gentle voice telling them to listen. I don't want them to have, you know, panic attacks when, you know, they finish like, is daddy going to come and get them? You know? So I'm going to work on
I don't have a gentle voice, because my thing is, who did this? Who did this? And then the person, the guilty party will say it. I said, I already knew it was you. I just wanted you, I guess, in the spirit of honesty. Like, I know which child is capable of what. That's why I'm your mother. How do you know, Mom? I said, that's why I'm your mother. I guess it just comes upon me like a spirit. I know which child is responsible for what. I'm just asking, so you learn how to take responsibility or ownership for the thing, and then you fix it.
So that's something else that you're teaching them.
Fix it,
how to fix it.
Yes. So I think it's the idea of thinking generationally, right? Because now, you know, my mother is no longer here, but the things she's taught me are staying with me. And so I have to think and say, what's my responsibility to my children now that I know better, right? When you know better, you do better, right? So knowing what I know now, I'm like, I won't be, even though I'm saying I want them to hear my voice, it's only in the aspect of sweeping. No, I want them to hear my voice as a voice of love, as a voice of a mother. Like, I'm not hearing my voice only in terms of criticism, hearing my voice in terms of love and affirmation and, you know, all the good things. I tell them all the time, I'm like, you're God's gift to me, right? I tell them I'm so proud to be your mother. I tell them I'm so glad God gave you to me. I love you, I'm proud of you. And, you know, I call them, they're two sons. I'm my firstborn son, second-born son, and I say, you know, my sons in whom I'm well pleased, right? I want them to be proud that they're my sons. Yes.
And that, ladies, is why you guys always take the cake on Mother's Day. All the restaurants full, all the cards, all the flowers gone. That is why. For us guys, I'm still working on that emotional labor. So slowly they'll hear. I do tell them I love you, I'm proud of you, but even the inflection of my voice is like, is that really that? But anyway, don't forget, if you found this useful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we have a newsletter that comes out every week. This month of May. Hey, I'm going to be taking on the newsletter. So be sure to connect with us and share.
Yeah.
And from our couch to yours.
Yes.
Bye for
Bye-bye.
now.